All right, the test suite is green now, and at this point we're ready to move on to successful edits. This is the sort of thing that as you get more comfortable with testing, I think you'll find yourself more likely to write the test first. And in this context, an integration test like this is sometimes called an acceptance test. The distinction is usually that with things like controller tests or model tests, you're writing like one test at a time or just really fine-grained functionality. This will actually just be one test, but this is going to be a broader test of a bunch of different things all going right at the same time. And so the idea is that once it's working, that means we've accepted the feature. So let's take a look at this. I want to show you how to do that. So what does the successful edit look like? Just need to put the do in. Well, we get the user path. It's the same thing here. And then we're going to send a patch request. It's the same thing here. But now we want to have valid information. So let's put in a valid different name from the one that's used here, right? So this is Michael example. Let's put in foo bar. And let's put in, do this here. It's valid, and then, one of the things I want to do here, so this is a little tricky, but when you click this, it's really convenient to be able to update your information without putting in your password. So I'm going to put in blank password and password confirmation. So this is my expectation. This is the acceptance test. I want this to update the name and email of the user. Now we have to make some decisions about what the behavior should be after a successful edit. So one thing I'd like to do is say that it should redirect back to the profile page. So that's cert redirected to @user. And let's plan to put in a flash message just indicating that there was a successful update. Okay, we could test the actual key, but I feel like that's overspecifying it. So let's just assert that it's not empty. And then what we want to do is verify that this user actually has an updated name and email address. This is the sort of case where I really do like to write an acceptance test, but it's a little tricky. So this is why it requires some experience. We're going to have to reload the user, or else its attributes won't be updated. So if we were to do this, assert equal @user.name, and then what we expect it to be here, that will not actually work. We have used this reload method before, but this is the kind of thing that would be really easy to forget. So let me show you how to do that. What I want to do is reload it and then put these assertions in. Email, and then just copy this here. All right, so what this does is it reloads the user and pulls it out of the database, the test database, and then verifies that in fact the name and email address have been updated. So we can save this and go red. So that's good. Now let's go over to the controller, and here, instead of handle a successful update, let's put in the flash message. In fact, I actually put these in the wrong order, because it doesn't really matter, but we have to set the flash first and then redirect, so I like the parallel structure here. So if we do this here, we assert that the flash isn't empty, so let's set the flash here. And this is a success, so let's do success, be green, nice and happy. Just put in something sensible, and then redirect to the user. Save that. Oops, this will still work. I haven't saved this here since changing the order. All right, we're still red here. So this is part of the value of an acceptance test. She's like, okay, well, why is it still red? Because we think this should work. And the reason is because we can't handle these yet. This is, you can see here, expected it to be a redirect, and the reason for that is because the user model currently requires that we have a password and password confirmation. But there's a way to do this. Here in the validations, we have validates password length minimum 6. For precisely this kind of case, Rails allows you to say allow blank true. Now you might wonder, well, won't this let people create new users, like sign up without a password? And the answer is no, because Has Secure Password supplies a password presence validation. So if we save this and go over here and save this, see if we're green. All right, so we're actually green now. You can see both the user test, which ran when I saved this file here, the user file, user.rb, and this integration test passed. Now, one thing I don't like here is this duplication. Makes me a little unhappy, so I'm going to define some variables. Let's refactor our test a little bit. This is the sort of thing ordinarily I would probably do it ahead of time because I would anticipate that I was going to reuse them. But this is the way you might figure out that you needed to do that. Name of name, email, email. And the same thing here. All right, it's working. So let's take a look at it. I can change the name here. Change it to my name, and I'll change it to my email address. And I can leave the password and confirmation blank if I want. Save changes. There we go. Nice success message, profile updated, and of course it's using the gravatar that I associated with my primary email address. If I wanted to change that gravatar, I can go over here, back to the settings, and just click on here. This will prompt me to sign in. And you can see here, this is where the gravatars are. So I can add a new image, I can associate it with my email address if I want to, and so on. One thing you might have noticed there is that it opened in the same window. And there are divergent philosophies on this. Of course, I could just open it in a new tab by doing something like this, just right click, or I could do command click. But it is nice in this context sometimes just to open it up in a new tab automatically. And there is a way to do that. Let me show you how to do that. This is a pretty common thing to want to do. So the way to do it, this works cross-platform. I think it's not actually technically valid HTML, but this works really well. This is the target equals blank trick. Target equals, and then there's an underscore blank. This is just HTML. This is not Rails or anything like that. So let's save this, and I believe this will work. So if I refresh the page here and click on it, it should open in a new tab. There we go. So in this context, since we're really going out to a third-party site, it's probably a nice design choice to open it in a new tab automatically. Of course, even though we're allowing blank password and confirmation, you can also use this form to update your password.